how did you get your start composing?
My start composing. My start composing was probably back in high school because I was working for a nonprofit theater company and back in Minnesota. And so I was really just doing theater. I was really just singing and acting, and I wasn't really thinking about composing at all. And one day, there was a group of musicians in the cast, and they're playing tunes as we kind of roll in on wagons, or for a Christmas Carol, we learn tunes, and some way or another, I started playing bass for the group, upright bass. And then additionally, I started learning the accordion because our director was like, come learn the accordion. We want an accordion player. And through all of that, I started writing like songs that we could perform kind of at the end of shows or in between shows and different things. And that was actually when I started writing like music in general, I think. And that just grew. That grew for the next 3, 4 years. And I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop myself. I started taking comp classes just at RCTC. I started the community college at my city. I started diving in. All my piano lessons kind of turned like composition focused. I wasn't really practicing Chopin like a piano performance major anymore. I was like, how do we make Chopin my like how
Yeah.
do I write what Chopin wrote, or things like that.
Yeah, and this idea of sort of the accordion and making tunes and everything, I feel like that kind of lends itself to the sort of, I don't know. For me, I feel like your pieces definitely put an emphasis on on story. A few of your older pieces, so I think that makes total sense. After listening to your work and hearing about that. So, all right. Second question: what motivates you to write a piece?
I think it is, like you're talking about. I think it is often a story. If not a story, then a strong compositional idea that really sticks with me. But usually it's a piece either of my own life that sticks out, or it's a piece of someone else's life or a piece of good literature. So I guess that would be the motivation. I would say that recently the stuff that I've been writing has been rooted in like my own kind of reflecting on my own um, things that I have missed in my writing. I think sometimes in the academic 4 years, you're like, wow, I didn't used to sound like this. So just kind of trying to figure out what are the things that I really love about the music that I love, and then how do I retain that even after learning all that I've learned. Um,
Gotcha.
so yeah, recently it was a piece about it was a piece for bass and voice, and it was about reflecting on how we are as children, how we're so innocent, how we are then realize the existence of pain, which is kind of what we saw happen globally.
Right.
And then even though we knew it was there, and then um, third is just a kind of acceptance, kind of recognizing that all of that can build a person into a better grown person, with more skills, more character development, more maturity. So I a lot of it's reflection, and then the piece is born often.
So I know that this is kind of a difficult question, especially as you sort of kind of go through a bunch of different phases in your development. But at this moment, how would you describe your work to somebody who had never heard of it before? How would you say you fit in sort of into the composition world, which I know is a loaded question because everybody's unique?
Yeah, everyone really is. I've seen it with my peers and my colleagues. So I would say my influences lean between something that is very beautiful and very, I would say, approachable. Not that all the music isn't, but something generally very approachable, with with strong melody, because that's what I really love. I love a good melody, something that people will waltz away singing, humming, even if it's just 3 notes. Um, but then I love to just kind of break it, crack it open, and towards the middle of the piece or somewhere in the piece, try something that we weren't expecting. because that's kind of how life operates.
Yeah.
You're like waltzing along in your day, and then you're like, oh shoot, I didn't think this was going to happen today, or I didn't expect that. And so for me, like, just that simple kind of overall formal thinking about, oh, I want something that compels people, and then we crack it, we change it, we break it, we fragment it, we rip it up, and then we try to piece it back together again, but in a new way, because we're different, you know. So generally speaking, I piece something kind of wrecked and beautiful is often the kind of pieces that I lean towards. Just I don't know, just because I like both a very tonal quality, and I like a very for lack of a better word, atonal quality as well.
Speaking of storytelling, one of the pieces that, first kind of drew me to you was On the Road to Verona. I think that I listened to it and I was just like, I have to hear more from this person. I have to actually talk to this person. So talk to me about that process, that work, and, how that sort of came to be.
That was an incredible show. So On the Road to Verona is a musical that I developed with 8 other cast members back in Minnesota with a touring theater company called Skyvault. So 8 other cast members and one wonderful director. David Driscoll was the person who kind of mentored us as students in different art fields, in many different art fields. And so theater was a place where we all kind of came together. And so Shakespeare was a heavy influence on us as a group. So On the Road to Verona is derived from Two Gentlemen of Verona, which I forget if it's earlier or later for Shakespeare, but it definitely is not one that people read often, I don't think. And I don't think it's one that, if you did read it, you'd get to the end and you'd be like, wait, Shakespeare, did you miss, like, we just jumped to a really dramatic section. And so we felt like there was a lot of opportunity to try a contemporary try a more contemporized version of it. And so we created that show together, and it's kind of half musical, half script. It moves very fast. It's about an hour long, and we started touring that at festivals in Minneapolis, Chicago, just outside Chicago, other areas in the Midwest, and it kind of hit off for a time. We were very excited about it. So there was jazz music, there was folk music. The people who I've been working with instrumentally through high school for years, um, a good friend, Aiden Driscoll, and I wrote a lot of material with the rest of the cast members as far as the music was concerned. We were writing lyrics based on Shakespeare, we were writing fun melodies, we were getting the audience involved. We're huge, what a giant show for audience interaction. We were so excited as a cast. We would run out and bother you in your chairs, which we loved. We would kind of get in your face, and we part of the thing was, we want you to sing. Like, everyone can sing. Like, you can come sing in a theater, so you don't have to sit in your chair, you don't have to be stoic. Like, art is supposed to engage with you. Art is something where we come together and people try things together. So we wanted to bring people into a really fun hour with us, and ideally you would laugh, you would cry. We got some of those, if you would have watched the audience. And what a powerful thing to do, and what an incredibly exciting summer it was to write something like that and then put it out for the world to see. So that kind of moved through a national community theater festival. I'm not sure if I'd call it contest, but I guess in a sense, and then kind of moved to state, moved to regional, moved to national. And so we were kind of getting to show it around, and it was received very well by audiences. And had we not all been, I think, in high school and on to trying college, I think something really cool could have happened with the show, and could still happen. We may come back to it, I don't know. But yeah, huge, massive influence those years in my life, working in theater, working in music, where massive influence into my composing and into my love of music, and a huge push into coming to a school that would teach me more and more and more. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, oh, excuse me, sorry. I just, I mean, and also the way you talk about it, it's just, I can tell that it's such a beloved project, and there's a lot of care that I think has been put into it, just, from listening to it. And I can definitely hear the sort of opportunities for audience interaction, kind of listening to it. And I love that sort of aspect of not having it be static, not having it be just sort of this hermetically sealed, like, thing in a museum. It's something you can touch and interact with, which, I love personally. So,
Mhm.
all right. So, last question. So, why are you interested in this particular project? And, Artemisia, that sort of thing. What sort of made you say, okay, let's give this one a shot?
I think for this project, it is that we're focusing on one. We, as each of the composers in the project, have the opportunity to focus on one person's story and really see how can we get people to empathize with you and your history. How can we get people to understand it also? If they don't know you, we need to bring again to life a person's life. What a challenge and a gift. Because I think we'll find that music can truly do that. And we've seen it, we've heard it. If you've been to any kind of really meaningful concert. And so the power of composition, the power of this work, the power of Artemisia is to say, um, can we get people to to know Artemisia in 12 minutes? Can we do can we do it? And can we make an arc of someone's life in 12 minutes? It sounds impossible. I'm like saying it out loud. I'm like, how do we do that? Music can do it, I think. And so I was just excited to dive in to like one person's experience and try to truly understand it. When we take the time to do that, just in society, just in life, um, there are really beautiful outcomes usually. You really feel like you've spent time on something that mattered. So I think for me, getting to know, you know, past or alive or living or not living, it was really exciting to think about the idea of writing for that kind of focused purpose.